This morning we're here at the Riverfront Woods Preserve and celebrating the great open spaces in Yarmouth and making connections between various community organizations in support of our comprehensive plan effort.
Mother Nature has cooperated today. The rain gift has held off, so it's exciting to see people gathering and enjoying the land as well as today's weather.
This is my first time walking the property, which is stunning and beautiful.
The focus here today is to showcase one of our great spaces and bring together all the different organizations that help the town of Yarmouth preserve valuable property for its ecological value or for its open space value or recreational value. So we're really thrilled that the community can learn more about those partners that work with Yarmouth every single day.
I was here as a volunteer master naturalist to guide walks in association with the event for the unveiling of the Indigenous Land Acknowledgement.
Very happy to be here today representing Yarmouth Rotary. We're working with other member organizations in town to develop a wonderful, beautiful walking trail in these woods you see behind me.
The turnout was really good. I was very pleased to meet people that I had not met before. I think the larger constituent group is really important, and so I was very happy to see members of other committees that are in town and learn more about other committees, and understanding that the entirety of the work that goes on is a function of the individual people who choose to show up and do the work.
What a thrill to have all the components of the town come together to celebrate what it's all about, and that's the land.
So good morning, everyone. We'll get started. Thank you everyone for joining us this morning. I'm Erin Zwerko. I'm the Director of Planning and Development for the Town of Yarmouth. And welcome to our companion event this morning, which is the guided nature walk and land acknowledgement reading here at Riverfront Woods Preserve on this beautiful Saturday morning. I am pleased to be joined by Josh Roit and Brian Campari from the Parks and Lands Committee, Ron Savitsky from the Yarmouth Community Alliance for Racial Equity, Beth Sturdivant and Karen Massey, our Maine nature naturalists, Alan Stearns from Royal River Conservation Trust, Rick Snow and Peter Johnson from the Rotary Club of Yarmouth, and on behalf of the Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee and the town councilors that I see in the audience, thank you so much for joining us. I also want to give special thanks to Karen McNeil and Eric Donahue from Yarmouth Community Services, who are not here this morning, and to William Dunn and Dan Ostry from the West Side Trail and Rotary Club, who have helped with these projects and bring this event together. And to Sean Quirk, our Yarmouth TV manager, for capturing this on video production. So if you're unfamiliar with what a comprehensive plan is, it is a land use document that sets land use policy for the next 10 to 20 years. And we're excited to have this joint event to talk about and learn more about how our community organizations are connected and inform each other relative to thinking about policy and land use in the future. So I just, as a quick plug, I just want to mention that we have a number of fall community events, not only for the comprehensive plan, but also for the climate action plan coming up in October, and we hope to see everyone there. And at this point, I am going to turn it over to Ron to do the land acknowledgement ceremony. So thank you everyone for joining us this morning.
Ron, would you like to lead us to the woodlands?
This way for that.
Waliza bawel Pisitawan, Ndali was Ron. Gula Zigulpen, Sibusizwik Chik. Good morning, everyone. I'm Ron. Welcome to Riverfront Woods, where the river meets the woods. What a gift to not only speak a Wabanaki language publicly in this place called Yarmouth, but to do so in the language of my maternal ancestors. There's meaning in our coming together today. The ancestors of this land welcome us. The land here, with all its life, welcomes us. The Odukuk Giwanigig, Magwat Pak Pagakoha, Gasquihig, Zigwini Zibus, Gwabitewi Gwodask, and more. That's the deer and otter, the woodpeckers and heron, the vernal pools, beaver flowage, and more. I serve on the steering committee for YCARE, which stands for Yarmouth Community Alliance for Racial Equity. I'm happy to represent us today. I also help with the coordination of its Indigenous Awareness Group, a group of about a dozen Yarmouth citizens, which happens to include 5 Penobscot, Passamaquoddy, or Maliseet folks with heritage, Wabanaki heritage. Our entire YCARE group is grateful for the opportunity to be part of a historic day. Our group has been intrigued and at times perplexed as we dig and dig for history that was intentionally kept from us. We also spend time discerning the many issues and events pertinent to today's environment. There are many opportunities for all of us here to sit together as neighbors, raising consciousness with ourselves and others. With much encouragement and support from YCS leadership, our journey to help with Wabanaki interpretation for this beautiful spot began 9 months ago under the energetic guidance of our friend Dwayne Toma, a Passamaquoddy historian, educator, museum curator, and language keeper. So with senses engaged, members of our group, along with members of Yarmouth Community Services and the Royal River Conservation Trust, spent time here with Dwayne, walking the land, as we call it. K'chiwaliwan, Dwayne, a big thank you for what is happening here. This is a day for celebration, a day of gratitude, a day with significance. Bringing together the many Yarmouth organizations to share and enjoy what has been created here, the unveiling of visual Wabanaki language that reminds us that the Wabanaki people are still here, and the soon-to-be-heard Parks and Lands Committee newly created Land Acknowledgement. All of this helps to raise our awareness as a community of Wabanaki and non-Wabanaki neighbors. Now about the language. First, know that the Wabanaki people view ancestral dialects as wealth and strength, as a collective heritage that describes a way of life, tradition, and values. The language honors the land and gives access to precious heritage. The dialect used here is Passamaquoddy Maliseet, one of the remaining dialects of the Wabanaki people, still used here in the Dawnland after thousands of years. I'd like to share the pronunciation and meaning of the terms. First, the translated name for Riverfront Woods is Sibusizui Kachik. The trail name where the hemlocks are is the Guanastuk Aitid. The main trail or carriage trail is Kachiautasis. And the trail where the beavers live is Guadabiik Wikultitid. You'll see a term for beaver flowage on your map, and that's Gwabitewi Gwodask. And on the key you'll notice Sibusis, and that's the term for stream. And also the term for vernal pools is Sigwini Sibus, meaning pools that form in the spring. And as a footnote, we hope to post QR codes on future signage that will enable trail walkers to hear these pronunciations. So next, a moment we've been waiting for, and what a coincidence that this happens during the fall equinox. Let's bring Brian Kapari, Chair of the Parks and Land Committee, to the front, who will read the committee's new land acknowledgement.
The current stewardship of open spaces, in which we now know as Yarmouth, Maine, recognize that the lands and waters we inhabit and enjoy are places from which Wabanaki people were forcefully removed. The Abenaki and their tribes of modern Wabanaki Confederacy lived here and are still present. They stewarded these lands and waters as part of an interconnected ecosystem for thousands of years prior to European colonization. Let us respectfully acknowledge and learn from this significant history, while also appreciating the current beauty that exists here and recognize the social, health, and other benefits we now derive from these unceded ancestral lands of the indigenous people.
Powerful and beautiful text. Thank you. I would like to close this portion of today's gathering by singing a song. It's called the Honor Song, done in Maliseet as well as Mi'kmaq. The text speaks to remembering who we are, where we come from, and speaks to helping each other to live like the Creator intended us to on this land. Zikuramen, Eliskijini Waltieg, Dolna Bamek, Magwahatine, Gula Zikuramen, Dan Wedabek Soltieg, Dolna Bamek, Wajukem Dultine, Wajukem Dultine. Away, hey, away, oh, hey, oh, hey, way, oh, hey, ya, way, oh, hey, away, oh, hey, way, oh, hey, ya, way, oh, hey, well, as a Walter Multine. Eliskijini Waltieg, Dolna Bamek, Magwahatine. Well, as a Walter Multine, Dan Wedabek Soltieg, Dolna Bamek, Wajukem Dultine, Wajukem Dultine, Dan Eli Bawaduk, Gizi Ulinak, Yud Skitkamik, away, hey, away, oh, hey, away, way, oh, hey, ya, way, oh, hey, way, oh, hey, way, oh, hey, ya, way, oh, hey, hey, oh. Next, let's call Alan, Karen, Josh, and Beth, who are our guides, to the front, and tell us what we need to know.
Thank you, Ron, so much, and Brian and Aaron for welcoming us here. This is really fun. This is a lot of people. Thank you for showing up. This is, for me, one of the things that makes Yarmouth so amazing is that people show up and participate and think about not only where we live and the values that we have here, but how we can improve this place for future generations. And tying in this indigenous past with looking forward is so important and so often forgotten. It's something that all of us who are getting older in years and see new people come in and not know where the old files are, not where the things that were done in the past, and lose track of that, I think we lose a lot when we don't look backwards to learn what we've forgotten and what maybe we should know looking forward. So I'm happy to be here as with Beth and with Karen and Alan, bringing different parts of our understanding and past to help us all maybe appreciate things that we might not see on a regular basis, maybe look a little deeper at the culture and the natural history here. And so I'll just be leading one branch of this hike, really just one part of this effort that Julia set up for us all, really is a great facilitator, helping us again put this into the context with Aaron of how does this help us look forward at our town? What do we want from our town? What do we love about this? What would we like to see more of? How can we better look back maybe and incorporate some of the great work and great feeling and knowledge from the past into what we do in the future? So Beth and I and Karen are going to do 3 different branches of trails. It looks like we have enough people to break into 3 smaller groups, which will be lighter, easier on the trail as we go along to talk about some of the natural history here. Alan has been instrumental in pulling the deal together in the modern way we need to do things. We need to purchase land and we need to work together with communities and we need to make things fit. It's a system we're sort of stuck in right now that from our colonization of owning and buying and selling land, but it's what we get to work with right now. We've got an amazing bunch of open space in Yarmouth and in the greater watershed. So Alan takes us not just from a piece of land and to a town, but to entire watershed that drains to Casco Bay and is interconnected with Casco Bay. So we've got a great little history stop on the way out, and you can talk a little bit about what it's like to do this work, because protecting land and what we have left of open space because of our system of land ownership and access, we don't have access to land if we don't have some kind of ownership or rights. And there's more land in Yarmouth that's open space for wildlife and has history and has geology and wildlife and birds. And I feel like many people, most according to our polls, really appreciate that part of town. So how can we think about this in our experience and like, what would we like to see for Yarmouth going forward and our surrounding towns? We're part of a greater community and a greater watershed and a state, which is amazing. So Beth or Karen or Alan, do you want to add anything before we head out, or we've probably been talking too long already?
No, I'm going to save my thunder for the trail.
There we go. So we're going to walk out to just before the railroad tracks. We'll have a stop there all together. Then we'll have an opportunity to, if folks will do just a self-selecting, see how you feel today, see what the energy of you and your friends and family are for a longer walk versus a shorter walk. For the longer walks, there'll be 3 options potentially. And then for those who want to stick around for just some kind of a closing, I'm a big closing kind of guy. I like to bring us together and see what people think and feel about what we've done, and as we move on into the rest of our beautiful, unexpected Saturday. So let's move on forward.
As you're walking, notice wheelchair access. Gravel trail, easy bridges. Imagine yourself with a walker or a baby carriage or a wheelchair on this trail.
So the Riverfront Woods Preserve was purchased and protected a number of years ago. The comprehensive plan kicked off earlier this year in 2023. And this fall, as we've gone into our engagement stage, we've been adding these companion events to showcase all the great organizations in Yarmouth and the great places in Yarmouth as well.
Walking the Riverfront Woods Preserve. We've just had it dedicated.
I was delighted to be asked to help with the native naming of trails and the park itself. So that was a project that was strongly encouraged, and I'm grateful for the leadership at YCS to help propel that forward.
The Town of Yarmouth, the Parks and Lands Department has a Land Acknowledgement that they have developed, and they were unveiling that Land Acknowledgement here. And also in this preserve in particular, they have given Wabanaki names to a number of the trails to reflect, like the Beaver Flowage Trail and the Hemlock Trail. Only the names are in Wabanaki. The plan is eventually to have QR codes that will have them being pronounced in the Passamaquoddy Maliseet language, which is what they're written in.
It's very, very exciting to me to see the visibility of the native people, and that's done well with visual arts. land acknowledgements as well and signage, but you need something visual to remind people that the Wabanaki people are still here after thousands of years.
There's a group called Yarmouth Cares About Racial Equity that has been sponsoring a look back, among other things, at our Indigenous past and a look at today and how we can honor the Native tribes that are here today in town.
These people predate us by many, 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 many years, and we actually could learn a lot from them and their ancestral knowledge.
I'm super happy to see the Indigenous names come on the trails and for the preserve. I'm happy that we have a land acknowledgement so that we make it clear to other Yarmouth residents coming forward that we're thinking about this. We're trying our best to all be patient with one another and learn about this super rich, long history here.
The renaming of the trails the town has undertaken here is really important. It's important to acknowledge it now for those of us who are older, but it's really important for the younger folks who are coming along, and they're going to start coming out onto these trails and they're going to start seeing these names, and it's going to become part of their community of which they're living in.
So we're honoring the former stewards of this land today, and also I was on Parks and Lands Committee when this property was developed, the Riverfront Woods Preserve. So I've been here from the inception of this, and it's really wonderful to see the progress that has been made by the work of the Rotary Club, the work of the Town of Yarmouth, the work of Royal River Conservation Trust, and now we have this beautiful property.
The names are the Wabanaki terms. There are 5 Wabanaki tribes in the Wabanaki Confederacy. There are 3 that are quite active in language restoration and maintaining the language. So we've chosen one of the Maliseet dialects, the Passamaquoddy Maliseet language, to name trails.
The naming came because of the involvement of others. How nice that we can involve yet another organization in that process.
In a comprehensive plan, one of the major elements is understanding your historic and archaeological inventory, resources, and balancing that with the other goals of the community. I think so many planners in this field, at least in the recent past, have started with history with white settlers in your community. And we have to acknowledge that our history goes back many thousands of years before that, and we should be incorporating and engaging with our Indigenous and Native tribes and confederacies to ensure that comprehensive planning includes the full scope of our history here on this land, and acknowledging that as part of the event today is really important.
I used to contemplate 8 or 10 years ago what we could do in this town to let people know that the natives are still here and the history has been kept from us, and where do we go from here? But there's been a lot of focus in recent times, pretty much everywhere, to bring focus to the fact that we didn't know the history, and now it's more in the forefront, and people are happy to raise their own consciousness.
We are very supportive of Native American, in general. All of us have different histories, and it's amazing to see what a diverse history we have, even in Yarmouth. It's fun to be a part of this.
I've been wondering how we would ever create more presence that the native Wabanakis are still here. So I'm just excited that we've reached this point, and look forward to more conversation about including Wabanaki citizens that are right here in our town as part of town activities.
Yarmouth Rotary was asked to help provide a significant piece of boardwalk to make access over a wetland area possible.
One of the main parts that we did is we've been a contributor and builder of all of the platforms, the wooden platforms that go over the marshes and other parts where we don't want to destroy the habitat that's there. So we elevate, put wooden platforms out throughout the trail so people can walk and enjoy the habitats that are out there, and it's a very diverse habitat. It's really amazing to see.
The boardwalk project itself was a lot of fun. It was fun to build, it was fun to create, it took some innovation. In order to get the material to the site, we rented a pontoon boat, launched it in the Royal River, hauled the material up the river, hauled the material to the woods. We worked for several months to get the pipes drilled, planted, cut, the stringers, the boards, all of the rest of it. What you may not appreciate is how many trips it took with wheelbarrows to haul in the power equipment and the batteries to keep it going while we were working, or the wheelbarrow trips to haul out all of the scrap that was left over. So what you see is a beautiful, beautiful walking environment.
We had trail stewards that came from River Conservation Trust who were actively involved in building these trails and building the bridges. And they did a spectacular job. I mean, these bridges and making this accessible for so many people is a wonderful thing.
The process actually went very smoothly on this one. Within Yarmouth Rotary, we put a large portion of our effort toward outside recreational areas. We're known primarily for our work on the West Side Trail project, now over 8.5 miles utilizing the space underneath Central Maine Power's transmission towers.
I hope people will come here and enjoy all that's been created here, and they're also working to improve the universal access to go all the way through the power line on what's called the carriage trail up to the river, so that part of this preserve will be accessible for more people.
The town was a wonderful partner, particularly Department of Public Works. They did the planning, they told us what needed to be. They were very generous with both personnel and some of their major equipment. You do not want to be driving pipes with a sledgehammer by hand and things of that nature. They helped coordinate work crews with the Royal River Conservation Trust, who also had a big role in getting this boardwalk built and operating. We are one organization that is part of the fabric of the community. We're pleased to do that. We're pleased to be a part of it. And this is just one project, one good example of what worked.
It's been great working with the town. I was part of the town on Parks and Land, and they've been fully supportive of this project and getting the combination of the property donated by the Dugas family with the Barker Preserve that was already here to give us this wonderful large woods preserve.
I find that the town, YCS and Eric Donahue and they're fabulous to work with, and great resources and responsive, and they just do a really good job on their trail accessibility.
After all, we're just a bunch of volunteers. That's what we do. Rotary is a service organization. This is a way for us to get outside of our normal activities and do a little something that enriches the town, enriches an international community, and quite frankly, enriches us as individuals.
Part of the comprehensive planning is just making those connections between community organizations to provide solid and actionable goals for the community over the next 10 to 12 years. We're excited to bring together so many different organizations that work in the community and support our community members.
The town asked us to consider putting in this boardwalk, knowing we had some expertise from the boardwalks we had done with the West Side Trails. So this was just a one-off opportunity and a singular project that we could do. We knew we could help develop it. And just to organize the material and the pontoon boat lift and all of that, a lot of fun.
The Rotary Club got us a pontoon boat. The harbor master, I think, was skippering it. And we came up the river, and they brought in many, many, many loads of lumber up the river, because that was a much more efficient and reasonable way to bring all this lumber in. We're much closer to the river than to the road. And I was paddled up in a canoe and then helped unload the lumber with all the other volunteers. And then that was just, I was involved in the getting the lumber here, and then the Rotary and the town were involved in building the beautiful boardwalk across the beaver flowage and putting in the bench where you can sit and enjoy the view and the wildlife.
Rotary has been amazing in terms of providing not just funding, which is crucially important to make high quality trails like this. The boardwalks take a lot of money and time.
I was just hearing today from a Rotary member that a lot of the material had to be brought up by river by barge, so there's a lot of time and effort going into this, so thanks so much to those folks who have participated, not just in this project, but many other projects around town who really care about what we are moving forward.
It's been wonderful and very easy to work with the town. The community services have been very, very helpful in everything we do with Rotary, from the lighting of the tree. We pass out cookies and hot cocoa during the event, and that's a lot of fun. The trail work we've been doing has been very helpful with the community services have been involved in that. All in all, it's a wonderful community to work with, and we're very proud to be part of Yarmouth.
It's not just the usage of the trails, it's the usage and participation in the organizations that make the trails possible. We can put all the trails in the world. Yarmouth is a great town for doing this type of thing, but these facilities will need to be maintained over years. In order to be maintained, we cannot put all of that responsibility on the shoulders of the town. It's up to us as volunteers. In this case, it would be through RRCT or Yarmouth Rotary. Both organizations always need volunteers, always need members. We need to continue the institutional platforms that allow this type of project to occur.
Especially important as we look towards the comprehensive planning process. As we're looking forward, as we're thinking about the Yarmouth we want to see in the future, what we want for us as we grow old, for our kids and grandkids and great-grandkids, future generations. This is an important piece of work we're doing right now. So what better time to have this land acknowledgement, to have this understanding about prior peoples and their use of the land, about their understanding about how we fit in, and maybe how we don't fit in so well. And I think that's going to guide us to a more thoughtful, more holistic plan looking forward.
The comprehensive plan will be ultimately adopted about this time next year, so summer 2024. As part of that, it will prioritize different goals for the community relative to land use. So there's so many goals that we need to balance between housing, transportation, open space, and our natural resources.
It's kind of special because it's been set aside to be sort of contemplative, so that there are not dogs and bikes on this property, but there are vernal pools and other wildlife that's sensitive, and also you can get down to the river and really enjoy being in the woods right here in Yarmouth.
Working with the Comp Plan Committee, you know, they do have a natural resources component, and they're doing a good job thinking about what data do we have, what photo imagery, what do we have about people's preferences and uses, what do they like, what do they value here. And these are all things which I'm really hopeful, probably more hopeful than before ever, about how we put this plan together and come up with something that's functional and useful and equitable and protects these special places forever.
I am so grateful that the hearts and minds are open with so many of the committees. And as I mentioned earlier, the leadership at the Yarmouth Community Service was completely supportive and encouraging of this project.
I feel confident that in the expertise, the town Parks and Lands Committee and the YCS to be able to ensure that this property is being properly managed and used in a responsible way.
I envision maybe using QR codes to help visitors understand or hear the language spoken by a language professional. I speak the language, but I consider myself a learner still, as many tribal people do.
I would highly recommend all the people of Yarmouth, and maybe some surrounding communities as well, come and tread lightly but see this beautiful property. Unfortunately, I wasn't part of the town council that voted this in, but it does highlight the importance of open space, accessibility to that open space for everyone, and the value of preserving land for public use in the future.
There's a beaver flowage there. The beavers were removed at some time back, but the flowage is still there. Their dam was pierced, but it's obviously a wet area still, and there are many interesting ferns and mosses and club mosses and wildflowers and everything here, plus scattered about in this preserve are some vernal pools where in the spring you will find salamanders and wood frogs and fairy shrimp. and the other indicators of vernal pools. So for wildlife, this is pretty special.
We do have trails that are now accessible by wheelchair. We're trying to make it not just more accessible linguistically with the new languages, but also how can we get people with different capacity to come here. There are deep woods, there are these open old burn areas among the pines, there's ravines, there's the beaver meadows, and of course the Royal River itself. And the Royal River is really at the core of our town. So this is one of the properties that sort of honors the Royal River, but also helps protect it by providing a place for water infiltration and a place where we can get to see it and appreciate it. It's hard to appreciate things you don't see. So I hope that through this process we get people out to these places more.
Yarmouth doesn't house the majority of the Royal River. The Royal River begins at the outlet of the Sabbath Day Lake up in New Gloucester. It's not a terribly long river, but it is a river that flows through a number of towns, many towns. And each one of those towns has an important, vital part in ensuring the connectivity and the health of the river and the river landscape and the watershed. And the watershed is made up of not just the Royal River, but it's made up of many streams and brooks that run into the Royal River that eventually run into the Atlantic Ocean. So the importance of the health of that river is vital to those of us who live at the end of it in Yarmouth.
Well, I hope people will come out and see it. It's fairly new. I know that my husband and I came out to check it out, and there's no dogs, by the way, so we turned around, but it's more than I expected. I expected, honestly, a short loop, and this goes from basically just off West Elm to the river, and that's fantastic, and it should be seen that we have these kind of amazing protected lands that are right literally in our backyards, and I don't think most people even know it's here.